There we
You
go.
see this? You see
Yes.
this? I see half a cockerel. Okay, wait. See this
Yes,
cockerel? I am
it has two
so.
clean sheets.
It has two king sheets.
Hello everyone, you're watching All About the W, your weekly deep dive into the WSL, stats, stories, and standout performances. We will break it all down for you. I'm Kai, and as always, I'm joined by my co-host Ash. Ash, how are you doing?
I mean, I'm doing great. I belong to a club that has the best defense in the league. Who would have thunk? So I'm
Yeah,
just been flying high. Two clean sheets is something I never saw Spurs would achieve anytime in the near future. So I'm just absolutely on cloud nine.
yeah, 100% clean sheet record. I mean, honestly, I have no words. I'm completely out of words, but we'll talk about it more, I'm sure. But this is all about the match day where we will review all the WSL fixtures from the last weekend. Before we get started, just a reminder to all of you to like and subscribe to our channel. If you're new to the channel, consider subscribing. We are a small channel, so every subscription helps. And if you're a regular, don't forget to hit that like button and also leave some comments because that obviously helps uh, the video get a bit of visibility as well. And hey, we are really interested in what you guys are thinking about WSL. It's been 2 weeks, we've been football starved, and finally WSL is here. So you know what, let's get cracking. Ash, first question to you. How is your fantasy team doing
You know what? I
after 2 weeks?
I have another reason to hate Mark Skinner because Turland is my captain. And
Oh
she
no,
didn't start the game. I'm doing so badly in fantasy. I forgot to change my team in time. This week was just a massive disaster. Not that last week was any better, but like this week was particularly terrible. And Kai, as usual, is whooping my ass. Uh, I mean, I still have time to
not by a
catch
big
up.
margin, I'd say. I had Turland, I mean, fortunately, I think very last minute, I don't know why, but I captained Mariona.
Yeah.
So, like, she really saved my ass
Oh
this
my
weekend.
god.
But
Yeah.
but listen, guys, it is getting a little dramatic and spicy in our league. So, if you're interested, do join us. We will leave the code in the description to the video below. So, do check it out and do join our league. We'd like as many people as possible so that it becomes like a fun competition. Uh, yeah, Ash, take us away.
Okay, so the first game we'll be discussing, and it's in order of preference rather than order of play, is Aston Villa versus Chelsea, 3-1. I thought that this was a game worth starting the discussion with. Beaver Jones scored in the 55th minute, Bokan scored an own goal in the 55th minute, Kerr scored in the 93rd minute, and then Salmon scored in the 34th minute. Kai, there was a close call at one point in this game.
Yeah, I mean, listen, part of me wants to pretend that only the last 5 minutes of the game happened
Yeah,
and just celebrate Sam Kerr's goal.
yeah.
Because, I mean, she's been out for like 600 plus days, and to see a striker come back and even like honestly, just seeing her coming onto the pitch was enough for me. But she did us all one better and like scored that goal, which is amazing. But yeah, obviously, like all the Chelsea fans celebrated that goal like crazy, and Harry Edwards, who's like this Chelsea women stats guy, and he basically tweeted this video like of all of Sam Kerr's goal scoring positions because it is her 100th goal in 129 games, right? So he put up all of her goal scoring positions, and that's when it hit me how much we've like missed like a proper box presence when she's been gone. So, but I'm not going to pretend that the other 90 minutes did not happen. I am going to like talk about our setup and how that really let us down in the first half. So basically, Sonia Bompastor decided to set us up in the midfield, and it's largely the midfield that I have like a complaint about because it was an experimental team, first of all. Like from the first lineup to the second one, there were like 3 or 4 big changes in that. The Kuno Reiten came in on the left side. Johanna Rikkanen started on the right hand side, and then of course in the midfield, Macario comes in for Hamano. And the issue with playing Macario and Captain along with Walsh is that they're both Captain and Macario are both like not defensively very solid, which leaves Walsh really vulnerable because she is a player who needs somebody to do a lot of running around her because she doesn't have the legs to do it. She doesn't cover a lot of ground, which is when you have like players like Erin Cuthbert or Shurkan who can come in very handy. And I'll talk about the impact the halftime subs made. But yeah, overall, I felt like Macario looked good going forward. And that's where the first goal game comes from, right? Like Macario nutmegs, I think, binds, and then and then Carpenter puts in a cross, which obviously I feel like Villa shouldn't have conceded that goal because
Yeah.
I feel like there was it takes two deflections, one off of I think Delon who sticks a foot out, and then the second deflection off of like a like a Villa defender, and there is no communication between Roebuck and the defender. So basically, yeah, Roebuck should have ideally claimed that ball, but Beaver Jones is a free header, so they really should not have conceded that goal. But from a Villa point of view, I thought Chastity Grant was really good. She created 6 chances. Their strategy was very similar to what it was in that Arsenal game last season, where I think they won 5-2. Basically, win the ball back in the midfield, switch play either to Salmon or to Hansen very quickly, or even to Grant, depending on who wins the ball. Like somebody to carry the ball forward very very quickly, and obviously that Salmon goal comes from that, where Salmon wins the ball back, passes it to Grant, and then Grant, of course, has the presence of mind to make that cutback. And then, like Salmon is known as somebody who can take a good shot from the edge of the box, and she's just like unmarked. Like the midfielders have not tracked back, the defenders have like fallen back to ahead, leaving her acres of space to sort of take the shot. So yeah, that's where that goal comes from. But honestly, they could have been like 3-1 up by halftime if it wasn't Hannah Hampton. Like she really saved everyone's neck that day. Like she was furious. You almost like sometimes I feel a bit annoyed that I don't see Hannah Hampton furious enough. A lot of defenders, a lot of goalkeepers like really shout at their defenders,
Yeah.
and sometimes I feel annoyed that Hannah Hampton doesn't do that enough. I feel like she doesn't do that enough,
Yeah.
in moments where you're poor passing out from the back or something like that. But in this game, she was properly annoyed, you could tell.
Yeah.
So yeah,
But in the first half, I thought that perhaps Villa had the better chances. Like you've said, you could have been 3-1 or whatever by halftime. Um, what do you think changed in the second half? Like, why do you think the second half played out like that?
So the second half was like a completely different story because Cuthbert comes on, and I think Walsh basically gets more defensive cover, and suddenly the state of our midfield changes, right? Like we have basically Cuthbert, who is kind of running the show there and is giving Walsh the legs that she usually needs around her. And Macario also, therefore, has the freedom to sort of push forward. So basically, Bompastor started out by playing 2 10s and then switching to like a double pivot when Aaron comes on. So that changes, that change helps. And I also feel like it's a lesson to not start Captain and Macario together, especially not as 2 10s. It's very hard, especially I don't know if I mentioned this, but one of the things that I was very nervous about with Villa was the the possibility of the counter attacks that they have at their disposal with Hansen, Salmon, as well as Chastity Grant. And I feel like uh, playing 2 10s is a disaster in the making when you have that those outlets, especially somebody like Hansen can change a game in an instant. So yeah, but overall I felt like Thompson's cameo was good. It was, there was an opportunity for Sam Kerr to score a bit earlier. She was right in front of goal. She was open in front of goal, but she didn't take the shot. She laid it off to Aggie Weaver Jones, and I was like, oh no, like what's going on? And I felt really sad, but then she did come up with a goal at the end. But I mean, there's been a lot of chatter on Twitter about how we've been dreadful, etc., etc. I think it was an experimental lineup from Sonia. So yes, the first half was a consequence of a failed experiment, I would say. I thought the second half was a completely different story. Like we were very much in control
But
throughout the game.
I have just as counter argument. You will now be playing midweek games as well in a while, right? And your first 11, the one that played in the second half, that's great. But the minute Sonia makes any changes or she does any experiments, it all kind of like becomes a little stodgy and like difficult. I'm not saying that you can't still win with that second lineup. I'm just saying that it's less competitive. Does that worry you in any sense, especially with the Champions League?
So the thing is, like, I don't worry with Chelsea in terms of depth. Like,
Yeah.
unless injuries happen,
Yeah.
like right now we're sorted. I think it's the manner in which you play them. For example, if you play Captain and Macario, with say Captain and Walsh in a double pivot, that looks very different.
Yeah.
Like, I would still not be very happy with that because you have Nuskin sitting on the bench.
Yeah.
Like you don't even need to bring in Erin Cuthbert. Like Nuskin provides enough defensive solidity. So for me, I think it is the permutation and
Yeah.
combination of players available and what Sonia is choosing.
Yeah.
That is, again, it's not worrying me. It's
Yeah.
just something she's experimenting with. And yeah, I think it's very early days. I honestly would be more worried if we weren't creating enough. I thought we created enough. Those are the things that worry me more, um, rather than not being in control in the game, because usually we are okay defensively. Like we're not like I don't need to worry about our defensive solidity a lot usually. So yeah, it's fine, I guess. Like my biggest fear, I would say, is maybe the possibility of like somebody like Erin Cuthbert getting injured. I feel like that would be a massive blow to Chelsea. Like, but at the same time, I said the exact same thing in Jan 2024 when Sam Kerr got injured. So these things happen in football. I feel, yeah, I'm not particularly worried. But yeah, let's move on to I think it was the second game of the weekend, West Ham versus Arsenal, which finished 5-1 to Arsenal. There was a Van Domselaar own goal in the 5th minute, um, and then of course Marnham scored in the 21st minute, and the floodgates sort of opened. Stina scored in the 52nd minute, Caitlin Ford in the 62nd minute. Russo then scored a brace in the 90th and the 93rd minute. Ash, what did you make of this game? How did Arsenal do?
I mean, first game, second game, with them happening simultaneously. Who's going to say how they're numbered? But honestly, I've run out of superlatives for Arsenal. Apart from that howler by Van Domselaar, which was very uncharacteristic, I was quite surprised when that happened.
Yeah.
She's generally known for being pretty safe hands when she comes to collect the ball like that. And it was very Looney Tunes, no, because it hit the post and like ping and went in, and
Yeah.
it was like you could set it to music. As funny as I found that Arsenal had near complete control of this game. I mean, West Ham had 0 shots on target. I doubt even they thought they were going to score. And I'm low-key disappointed with West Ham. For the last 2 seasons, they've lived in and around relegation, and then they strengthen in Jan and surprise everyone with a few like cracking performances, right? We saw that last year with Martinez coming in and Asai suddenly finding form, and so you expect that players like Martinez or Asai will take that form into next season. But it's the same old story yet again. Like, I really don't understand playing Ueki up top and letting Martinez wander about. I mentioned this last time as well. You're diminishing both players' core strengths. Like, Ueki's ability to create as well as Martinez's ability to score, right?
So were they playing in a front two? Is that how they were set
No,
up?
it was Ueki playing like a false 9, kind of.
Okay.
But the thing is, Ueki's best ability is not hold up play, or like physicality or any of that. So I would have rather had her play behind a striker and do something there. In fact, a 4-4, like a 4-4-2 would have been even better. Like if they had just played a second Martinez in a front two, that might have actually been better. Saying all of that, it's not like anyone expected a different result. We just didn't think it'd be such a rollover for Arsenal, derby game and all of that. That Arsenal attack, honestly scares me to bits. It's freakishly good. It is so scary. They keep rotating because there's no drop off no matter who plays in the front four. That to me is what, it's not that they have all these talents that can score, etc. To me, the scary part is no matter who comes in off the bench, it stays just as good. And because other people are consistently scoring, there's also no pressure on Russo to score, and she can do all the wonderful things she's known for, like being creative, holding up play, freeing others to run in behind and like all said and done, also scoring in the 9 twice actually. But you know what I mean, right? The whole game she was just like helping others to be their best selves. And that
I also think, just to add to that, I also think it's all the different dimensions that these players bring. I think that's also another thing. Like Blackstenius is like that running in behind. I think she's probably one of the best in the league in doing that and scoring goals. And against tired legs, that's massively important. You also have like Bethmead, who I think she started this game, but in the first game she came off the bench, got 2 assists. Ford, who's very good at like running at players. Kelly, who's good at crossing. And even cutting inside and taking a shot. So like I feel like everybody offers something different, and I think that also comes in handy when you're like playing like 4 competitions, or in Arsenal's case 5 competitions.
And I also think that like Renée Slegers rewards a good performance coming on as a sub. like you could see that with like Mead getting a start, for example. So I reckon that, you know, no matter who plays there, they offer different things, and that always makes Sleggers' substitution successful, because you're changing the way you play but also still offering a goal threat. You know what I'm saying?
I feel so. I feel a bit differently about this because I feel like this is true for both Bompastor as well as Slegers.
Yeah.
I feel like they've still not figured out their starting 11, if that makes sense.
Perhaps.
I feel like once, because what I see is on both fronts is them being a bit experimental, even with the Egglets, but with like most managers, to be honest.
Yeah,
like it's maybe two, so everybody is like sort of trying out different things, and I feel like the amount of changes that Slegers made actually made me feel like, okay, so she's also like trying a few things out here.
Yeah, I mean, sorry to cut in, but I also feel like that's because every lineup she plays is successful. Like, one lineup is beating a team 4-1 and the other lineup is beating a team 5-1. You know, I think the only thing that's sort of set in this team is that Little and Caldente will play.
Correct, yeah. So that's true, and also Catley will play, I think.
Yeah, I think the fullbacks, like the defensive line, until Williamson comes back, I think Reed and Catley have pretty much like like the back line is sorted. I think till it's just the forward line. This is what I'm saying. It's just the forward line where all this depth exists, because like in the midfield and in the back with Van Domselaar and the four defenders, I think it's pretty sorted. Like, it's going to stay what it is until Williamson comes back, of course.
Yeah, I agree. I think that front line is starting to like become like very scary, and I also feel like there is even this little possible switch up between like Monham and Pelova, which I also find fascinating, because I feel like Monham is like a proper goal threat, whereas Pelova is a very, very creative player. So it's very interesting. I'm going to be very interested to see how Sleggers rotated, because last season, like after she took over, I don't think she had a whole lot to work with, and therefore there wasn't a lot of rotation. Now I'm really curious to see how well she rotates. I feel like these are like ways in which you see different sides of a manager, right? So I'm pretty excited to see that.
I mean, I reckon there are still some kinks in defense. It doesn't feel like a complete 11 to me yet. Like, Reed and Catley haven't truly been tested by West Ham or LCL. So Arsenal has had a rather fortuitous first few games, if I can say so.
I mean, next they're going up against Manchester United, who've also been firing, so it's going to be a very interesting match.
I mean, I think that that is a game where the two teams might cancel each other out, so it might be a scrappy game. It might be fun to see where the teams are actually at, because they've had a few easy games now in this first.
They've had Leicester and United have had Leicester and London City line.
And Arsenal have had LCL and West Ham, so all three teams, LCL is common, are still either new or they're not of the caliber of teams that would challenge Arsenal or United. With all due respect. Also, a special mention for Ford, because she looked like a player possessed in the second half. It's like she decided, I'm going to score today. It was really funny. It's like, come hell or high water, I'm a score. And I think that's also down to competition. The fact that, Mead, Smith, Pelova, Kelly when she's fit, Blackstenius up top, they're all waiting on the bench to take their chances. And that kind of ups everybody's game as well. So I think there was a little bit of that where Ford was like, if I don't score, I'm going to lose my place. So it's a little bit of that, I think. Anyway, enough about Arsenal. I feel like we've been talking about them for a while. Let's move on to City versus Brighton, 2-1. Another game that the first or second game, depending on how you count this, in the weekend. So Kirby scored in the 14th minute, Shaw scored in the 58th minute, and then Hasagawa scored in the 74th minute. Brighton, I mean, we were chatting throughout this game, and you were very complimentary of Brighton as far as I can remember. How do you reckon this game went?
Yeah, it's because we chatted for the first 45 minutes of the game. No, but like very much a game of two halves. I feel like, City had a very poor start, and I feel like it was a case of Brighton being pretty good. Like, I feel like they were closer to their ceiling. And City were just really poor. Like, Brighton did press City well, and they turned over the ball in like dangerous areas. And like, for me, what it felt like was like City's attack and midfield are very disconnected. So there's like this massive open space in the middle third where this lone Madison Haley was just like picking up the ball and doing whatever he wants. And then that's where the goal kind of comes from. Like, everybody so for the goal, like Madison Haley picks up the ball, and Hasagawa, and I don't know who it was, I think maybe it was Blinkill Brown, who were both like watching Madison Haley pick up the ball and turn and make a pass, and then they just ran after the ball. Like, there was clearly a miscommunication, or people being out of position, etc.
Yeah.
So I mean, Haley had acres of space to do that, and obviously that's where that goal came from. A lovely finish from Fran Kirby. But yeah, I mean, overall, I felt like Man City created more. I think it was inevitable that they would score a couple because in the first half, like Miedema missed two absolute sitters. Like, I'm like you're talking about Arsenal's attack, right? Like another attack that I am really scared of is Manchester City's because like in this game against Brighton, what you did see is how Miedema and Bunnyshaw could potentially link up, and both of them can be very clinical. Like in this game, we've not seen the best of Miedema since her injury, and I feel like the moment she comes into form, it's going to be a very very threatening attack because even Fujino or Bene, whoever starts on the right hand side, uh, also exceptional players. I thought Bene was phenomenal. She had a really like bright game. I think she's definitely one of those players to watch out for. Um, and yeah, I her energy, her speed, vision, all of it. I feel like in the second half, like for me, two things happened. One is, of course, like I'm guessing Man City players got like a bit of an ass whooping because they did come out with a lot more energy. But also Fran Kirby got subbed out at halftime, and I felt like Fran Kirby was sort of, I wouldn't say she was running the show like on the ball, but you could tell how much she was communicating with the players around her to ensure that everything is working well, if that makes sense, right? And the moment she went off the pitch, you could see how much Brighton was struggling to create and even like get some control over the game. But for me, I think the other thing is Bene sort of started shining a little more because initially I thought Hasegawa was too far up,
Yeah.
leaving Blinkilde Brown like with too much defensive duties. And I felt like Brighton were targeting her a lot and she couldn't hold on to the ball. Hasegawa dropped back a little bit in the second half, early on in the second half at least. He was doing more of a box to box role, and I feel like that sort of brought some balance to that midfield. And Bene was also cutting in, and like, yeah, I thought she was phenomenal. Yeah, but for Brighton, I think there are a lot of positives from the first half, but concerns. I would say Fran Kirby injury and also McLaughlin came off injured. Fran Kirby, I kind of saw her holding her back towards the end of the first half. Maybe it was more precautionary, but McLaughlin definitely looked like she was in serious discomfort, and I think it was hamstring related. But yeah, I mean, even a big shout out to Fujino and Hasegawa because what we're seeing now is Hasegawa being more present in the box. And that pass, that through ball for Hasegawa from Fujino was all of it. All of it was just absolutely sublime. The pass, the finish, the way Hasegawa just opened up her body and took that shot. Like you would think she's somebody who's been doing that for years in the WSL, whereas she's actually never been doing that. So yeah.
I mean, the more I see of Hasegawa this season, the more I feel like my prediction for, if City do well, that is, my prediction for Hasegawa for Player of the Season feels, because I'll be honest, Hasegawa is possibly one of my favorite midfielders, like in the WSL. So I'd like to see her get some plaudits at some point. So I mean, hopefully City have a good season just for that. I'd like to see that happen.
I completely agree. I feel like she's definitely an underrated player. I think last season she was nominated for Player of the Season.
Yeah.
But that was when like City came very close to finishing top. So hopefully we see more of Yui Hasegawa and her finishing chops. All right, let's move on to London City Lionesses versus Manchester United, which finished 5-1 to Manchester United. Laetitia scored a penalty in the 3rd minute, right?
It was a penalty.
Riviere scored in the 33rd minute. Mallard scored in the 47th and the 50th minute. And then Paris pulled one back for London City Lionesses in the 76th minute. And Jess Park topped it all off with a goal in the 87th minute. I mean, I don't think the scoreline is showing anything different than what actually happened on the pitch, right? They were completely dominated, London City Lionesses.
So, like, I have so many things to say about this game. I'm really upset by how many goals are scored in this game week, because there's so much to talk about, and we have to fit it into like a 40-minute episode or whatever. It's not going to be 40 minutes, just FYI, everyone listening. So, United was far away the better team and totally deserved to win in like the thumping fashion that they did, 5-1. However, I have to say that there were a lot of 50-50 refereeing decisions that arguably went United's way. United would have won comfortably even without those decisions. but I still felt for LCL since they've had such a disastrous opening to their season.
Yeah.
So some of the decisions were really uncalled for. Giving shoulder to shoulder challenges as fouls on the edge of the box for Mallard, and pulling back play for a free kick when 3 LCL players are charging into United's final third. Even the penalty, I think. I definitely think it was a penalty, but it was really soft. Like, it was so soft, and it was so obvious that it was soft. Anyway, I really wish refereeing would improve, because I'd just like to focus on the fact that they got smashed by United, rather than adding all these unnecessary caveats to be like, oh, LCL, the momentum changed, or whatever, whatever LCL fans are holding on to. I really do feel for LCL, I will say this again, but conceding 4 goals to Arsenal followed by 5 to United is hardly the dream start that Kang anticipated. And I think,
but to be fair, I'm sorry, but like your opening 2 games being against like the top 4 teams is just really unfair. Like, I know they've spent a lot, and it's quite embarrassing. Listen, we have lost 8-2 last season, so I know exactly how embarrassing it is. But I do feel for them.
And I think that even the broadcasters might know that this is like a moment for potential drama, because there was this brief moment where they showed Michelle Kang's face and then Jocelyn Fischer's face, but like it was as if they were trying to create the drama,
just like salting it and seasoning it nicely.
Anyway, they knew what they were doing. If you're a broadcaster and you're listening, you knew what you were doing. Anyway,
you're thinking it. Michelle Kang is thinking it.
Yes.
Like, let's be real. She's already like, the wheels are turning in her head. She's like, who can I bring in?
Anyway, coming to United, there was a lot of online criticism against Skinner before this game because of their midweek result against Brann. And the general stuff that you say about Skinner, that he was out of ideas, that he wasn't the person who could help United progress to the next level, etc., etc. And while independent of United's form, I happen to believe all those things about Skinner. Credit where it's due, their league form has been spectacular. Jess Park has taken to the red half of Manchester like a duck to water. The combination of Mallard, Park and Toon was just wreaking havoc on the LCL defenders, who, let's face it, are not the best defenders. In fact, like Mallard, who had a good game on the left against Leicester, was really good up top as well. So she's definitely giving Turland a run for her money. But, all of this is only possible because of the combination of Zigiotti and Miyazawa putting in that work in the midfield. My God, they were tired. I get tired just looking at Zigiotti.
I love Zigiotti.
Yeah, same. She's quietly becoming one of my favorite players to watch. It just gives the freedom for this attack of Mallard and Toon and Park and all of these people to flourish. In fact, literally the difference in the Brann game and this one was that Zigiotti was starting. In this one. Really, you can just point to that one thing and say, change that. Anyway, special mention to both fullbacks Vivier and Sandberg. They really are the ones that keep United ticking and progressing the ball. Those long passes into the forward, switching up play, etc. All of that is done by the fullbacks at United. And that goal from Riviere, I don't know if you ever caught that goal, Kai, but that angle was so sharp it could cut diamonds. It was just, what a beauty, absolute masterclass of a goal. It's one of those goals that players, score maybe once in 3-4 years in a season. It was so tight. The angle was so tight. I don't know how she got that into the net. Anyway, so one thing about LCL's defense, I know we've gone on for a while about this game. So I will be brief. Is this combination of Kennedy and Kumagai? So there were. So I think the commentators were saying something. I don't know who the commentators were, but they were saying something about Linari, I think, and they were like, it'll be difficult for her to get in over Kennedy and Kumagai's experience. And I was like, what the hell are you talking about? They just let in 9 goals in 2 games, and Kumagai.
I think Linari started against Arsenal. I think maybe that was a tactical change to push.
So Kumagai just spent an entire second half getting sucked into runs by Mallard or Park instead of anticipating the ball or the play. I mean, not to make this about Spurs, but we literally have a 19-year-old in Koga who played better than Kumagai and her so-called experience. Just because you're 34 years old doesn't mean you can read the game. That's not a given. I'm sorry. Experience is not just age. Experience is also anticipation and, the ability to intercept a play. And I think that, due respect, maybe it's too early to judge because they've been facing really difficult opposition, but I really don't see that at least in Kumagai. Maybe Kennedy with somebody else will be fine, but I feel like maybe Kumagai is playing out of her, is slightly out of her depth. I know she's had a very storied career, but at 34, I think maybe she's too slow to be following people's runs and being
Yeah,
sucked in.
honestly, I was very surprised to see Kumagai start even against Arsenal, like
Yeah.
leave United. But even that game, I assumed that they would play with the back four, but they played with the back three, whatever. But in this game, again, once again, I expected Kumagai to get dropped over
Yeah.
Linari,
Yeah.
whereas Linari was the one who got dropped because
Yeah.
I feel like experience is also a bit overstated in this case, right? Like you
Yeah.
have Kennedy who has WSL experience. Like you said, what does playing in a league really count for when
Yeah.
your performances look like that?
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, it'll be interesting to see how he changes,
Yeah.
shakes things up for LCL, but also at the same time, it'll be interesting to see what kind of business they do in Jan
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
clearly that is the part of the pitch where they're really lacking now.
Yeah, I
Because
mean
up front,
they have young Ceres Brown, who's apparently very promising. So let's see what happens.
yeah, Keris Brown is like a Chelsea
Yeah,
academy player. I've actually not seen her play a whole lot, but yeah, I've heard good things about Keris Brown. But yeah, we'll have to wait and see what kind of decisions Pressure makes and Michelle Kang makes. All
yeah.
right.
Okay, this next game was slightly unexpected, but it makes our Gareth Taylor being the first manager sacked prediction feel more and more real. Leicester versus Liverpool ended 1-0. Van Egmond scored in the 59th minute, and 2 yellows for Shannon O'Brien resulted in a red. So Leicester playing with 10 people, and then yeah, that's that. So
So
56th
1-0
minute.
game. Yeah, it was this game was so funny. Like the whole thing was hilarious. Okay, this red card, let me tell you, O'Brien got booked, right? Like I
Yeah.
think she had a like a studs up challenge very
Yeah.
early on in the game,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah.
And I was like, oh, cool. Um, and then the ref forgot that she'd booked her.
What?
Booked her again
Oh
for
my
dissent.
god,
It was basically
refereeing.
like the ref pulls out the yellow, right? She's booking her, and as she's booking her, she realizes, oh shit, I've already booked her because the second yellow was for dissent.
Yeah,
And honestly, like really stupid from Shannon O'Brien,
yeah,
like to be, yeah, running her mouth off.
yeah,
It was a poor call from the ref. I'll say
yeah,
that.
yeah. So
But
did the ref? So tell me, on Foot Mob, and I don't know. I wasn't watching this game. There were so many other games happening. Um, uh, on Foot Mob, I saw red for Leicester early on when the first yellow was given to O'Brien, and then it showed it as red, and then it said cancelled red card for Leicester, and then it showed the yellow. What was happening?
oh, I don't know. Maybe that was a misunderstanding
Yeah.
because the first one was a yellow. Like it
Oh,
was
okay.
just
So
straight red.
it wasn't like she gave her red and then changed her mind or anything like that.
No, I don't think that happened. No.
Yeah.
But anyway, I mean, in this game, basically, we've seen versions of a Gareth Taylor team doing this, but Liverpool basically had 74% of the ball
Yeah.
and had an XG of 0.5.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's honestly like a proper shocking performance. It's
Yeah.
like, like it was very similar to the Everton game in that they were in control for most part of the game,
Yeah.
but they created even less
Yeah, yeah.
than they did against Everton. And like, yeah, Leicester, we know, basically, I don't understand like the defending on that Van Egmond goal was so bad. Like your opposition is a player down. It's almost like they were dazed that they
Yeah.
were playing against 10 players. Like it was like they were literally getting their heads around the fact that they have to play against 10 players.
Yeah.
And then like Van Egmond didn't even try. She literally walked into the box,
Yeah.
scored a header, and walked off.
Oh
And
god.
Liverpool players stood still. It's genuinely one of the most bizarre things I've seen. And like really the saddest thing is that Van Egmond didn't even try. Like it was probably one of the easiest goals she'll ever score in her life. And yeah, and like and we know what happens, right? Like obviously Liverpool are already struggling to create. And then you have a fairly organized Leicester that's going to just like sit back and defend the box now that they have scored a goal. And that's exactly what happened. We know what the outcome is. Like it it was a shit show. And I mean, to be fair to Leicester, like they did defend the box well. I was impressed with their backline. I thought they all performed really well. I also really liked Olivia McLaughlin. I thought she was very, like I'll be honest, I have not seen a lot of Leicester games because you usually cover Leicester.
Yeah.
But I don't know if you've seen McLaughlin play before.
Yeah.
I have not. And it was really nice to see like this young player who's like energetic and gritty up front. When you sometimes need your striker to do that, your forward players to do that to relieve a bit of pressure when you're like sitting in deeper and deeper.
Yeah.
So I was quite impressed with her as well. And yeah, I mean, for Liverpool, I think there is a lot of concerns. There are a lot of concerns, especially in attack, because like I've been waiting for Mia Enderby to come good for about 2 seasons now.
Yeah.
She's like somebody who's very pacey, but she can't seem to score.
Yeah.
Right? There's not the physicality you might need in a striker. Like, there's a lot of things missing there. She's only 20 years old, but
Yeah.
like, Roman Hogg is clearly not starting, who
Yeah.
is like, and Leanne Kiernan is obviously not preferred as much. And I think she's more of a bench player, in my opinion, at least. But this is like an opportunity for a young player to show, uh, you know, uh, and make their mark, basically show what they're made of, make their mark. And, you know, I don't think she's ready to lead the line for a team like Liverpool. Um, but yeah, I mean, I think Roman Hogg was benched because she was not fully fit, like as in she's just coming back into fitness.
Yeah.
Like I like Roman Hogg as a player. Like she's somebody who's very probably the best in the air in the league.
Yeah.
Definitely from an attacking
Yeah,
sense.
yeah.
And that those are good signs for Liverpool.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
something
yeah.
to work with, because right now their attack looks so toothless.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Like of course Capox like scored that worldie in the first match, but again she's also not somebody who scores a lot of goals. So like it's looking a bit dry for Liverpool up top. But yeah, from a Leicester perspective, I think the most exciting thing was Rantala got some minutes,
Yeah.
which is excellent news. I've been waiting for her to come back.
I mean, I think she got minutes in the previous game as well. So let's hope, like she works herself to fitness. And, I've, with Leicester, knowing that they conceded 4 goals in the previous game, I'm really happy to see that they've sort of bounced back from that defensively.
Yeah.
And, I've always felt like Flynn is not the answer. So I'm glad that they're giving people like McLaughlin a chance, because I think in the previous game she came on in halftime. I forget for whom. I think it was for Shannon O'Brien. I'm not
Okay.
sure, but so it's just you maybe sometimes when you can't score, maybe just give other people a chance and like take a shot in the dark, because it can't get any worse in terms of the attack.
Yeah.
So because let's face it, Leicester does have a pretty dire attacking record. So, but I'm glad their defense is now working, because I was worried for them in the middle when this, like when you concede 4 goals and defending is all you know, then you're in trouble.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm curious to see how things change under the new manager, because like even getting to see a player like McLaughlin play is I mean, those are good signs, right? Somebody who's open-minded, who wants to sort of shake things up a little bit. So that'll be interesting. All right, Ash, let's move on to Everton versus 2 clean sheet Spurs. Finishing 2-0 to Spurs. Olga Artinen scoring in the 27th minute and Tanberg scoring an absolute blinder in the 47th minute. Ash, please wax lyrical about the mighty Tottenham Hotspur.
You see this? You see this? Wait, I don't see it either. Wait, where is it?
Closer. Higher. Yeah, there we go.
You see this? You see this? I see half a cockerel. Okay, wait. See this cockerel? I am so. It has 2 clean sheets. Oh my god, 2 clean sheets. I'm so happy. I swear, I don't think there's any Spurs fan on the planet who feels happier when there's a clean sheet than me. I'm just like, there are days when I'm just like, you score 1 goal, you score like 2 goals. Even if you scored no goals, if you have a clean sheet, it makes me so happy, because I don't see it very often, Like there have been days when we have lost. I think we must have conceded like a gazillion goals to Man City in some seasons, like.
Oh yeah, that's the next fixture, right?
Yeah. That's why I was worried. That's why Man City is on like the top of mind. But okay, coming to the game, I realized that I have to talk about the game. Tanberg full debut. Okay, she came on in the last game as well, but this was her like full proper starting debut. And what a player we have on our hands. What a player. Like, I will say this, Spurs have had 2 transfers, and I was bemoaning the lack of transfers. I felt like we should have done more business, and I still feel like we should have done more business. But Tanberg, what a great player. Like, she was everywhere. She was just wreaking havoc. And, Everton, yes, Everton didn't look like they were, Everton didn't look like it was their day, but we were, also traveling, right? So
Yeah.
so like the fact is they were at home. They can only blame themselves for not having the best day, and they started the season well, so it's not like they were out of form or struggling or anything like that. So I genuinely feel like we were just the better team, and it gives me so much joy because there was a point last season, like say anytime after December, where if you had told me we were playing any of these like mid-tier teams like Everton or Villa, etc., I would probably predict Brighton. I would probably predict Spurs losing that game, and almost handily losing that game, especially to
Yeah.
a team like Everton. And that was really not the case. In fact, I thought that there was not a single moment in the game where we didn't have mostly didn't have control on the game. Like they had zero shots on target. And part of that I think was because Momiki and Snoyes were so ineffective, especially Momiki. I think Momiki had a very rare, like really off day where she would, her progressive passing would constantly be intercepted by a Spurs player, and I didn't expect it, but maybe it's a tactical thing by Martin Ho, where he's like studied Everton's passing and like been like, you stand here and you intercept this or whatever, because it was
Yeah, yeah.
it was a pattern. It wasn't like a one off. So I felt like there was something tactical that had happened there. And Everton's also going through their own transitions. Ishikawa's not used to the league, and I think arguably both goals Ishikawa did have was not at fault, I would say, but like was being pressed or was being
Yeah.
like, especially that second goal with England pressing her. I thought that she could have done better there. But
I have generally been pretty unimpressed by Fernandez, that pairing of Fernandez and Ishikawa.
yeah,
I feel like there's something, I don't know if it's like a communication issue, because I was looking forward to seeing Ishikawa.
yeah.
And it's, yeah, something that's not quite clicked yet. I don't know if it's a bit of an issue around physicality, because I did feel like they were
Yeah,
getting
so
bullied off the ball a little bit.
that's what I was gonna say. Like there were a lot of comments about Ishikawa lacking the physicality because of maybe the Japanese league or something. But Spurs on the other hand have Koga as well, and yes, as a 19-year-old, there were points, like there was this point where Kelly Gago was pressing Koga, where I think Gago came out a winner in that one-on-one. But like on the whole, I thought Koga did a reasonable job in terms of her physicality, etc.
Yeah.
So I don't think it's a Japanese players cannot be physical sort of situation, which is what
Yeah.
the live chat seemed to be almost in total consent over. And
Yeah, that is completely untrue though. We
Yeah.
have enough Japanese players in the league to show exactly how physical they can be.
Yeah, absolutely. And maybe it's just a question of getting used to the pace of the league. It's also like it's a sudden change, and it takes some players longer than others. So I don't want to make comparisons between centre backs like with Ishikawa and Koga so easily.
Yeah.
And Koga is also very young, so there will be games where she makes mistakes. Like even in this game, there were a few like rookie mistakes that she made. Like for example, there was a corner coming in somewhere near the 90th, 86th minute, something like that, very late in the game, where Koga kind of got a contact with the ball, but then did not know where the ball was.
Yeah.
And
Oh, right. She didn't know where she was flicking it off.
yeah. Which
Yeah.
which was a very like rookie mistake for a centre back while in a set piece situation. So there were like these moments where you could see her age. I do see a lot of promise in Koga, and more promise than I see mistakes. So the way I'm excited about Ella Morris, I'm also excited about Koga, and I'm excited to see them play together actually in the back line.
Yeah.
Let's see when that happens, and if that happens. But definitely lots of things to look forward to. We've started the season really well, and I'm just happy to see us be so organized. I think that's just, for me, that's the happiest takeaway. I think Martin has done a really good job just giving us some structure, and in the way that he plays with the long ball, etc. It just brings out the best in people like Spence and Summonen also, because now they're just like defending, recovering. Drew Spence is being box to box and using her physicality, etc.
Yeah.
And I think that bodes well, because that's the best way to use them. A high possession game was not going to be their strength ever.
Yeah.
So
I completely agree with that.
and coming to Everton, I did feel like Everton got the team sheet wrong. I don't know why Kelly Gago is not being selected in the starting lineup. Is it that she's recovering from some injury, because she didn't play in the practice games before as well? She didn't
Yeah.
play, so I'm wondering if she's carrying a niggle or something of that sort. But she didn't start, and like the minute they made that substitution in the second half, Everton looked much better. Like the Gargo and Homeguard substitution, the double substitution, really helped them. Homeguard definitely helped them, but Gargo really helped them because suddenly they had a more physical presence up top. So I just like Snoise doesn't cut it as a striker. Like that's not Snoise's game. So I just feel
I think I was very surprised because I'm assuming I can only assume that Gago's carrying an injury because like that Snoise Gago pairing worked really well in the last season. Like Snoise playing a little bit behind Gago is what helped Gago score all those goals because Snoise was creating. She was like in the 10 or the false 9, one of those positions. So like I'm surprised by this, but yeah, I'm guessing it's an injury related thing. Or maybe it's also maybe trying to give Mumiki an opportunity, trying to, like I said, maybe it's like an experimentation that's going on.
Yeah.
Don't quite know.
Yeah, and to be fair, I mean they have had one win and one loss, so it's not dire straits for Everton or anything. So but just oh my god, happy for a Spurs win. I'm wearing the away jersey for that reason. I'm just
Wow.
really happy. I'm you don't know how miserable it's been to be a Spurs fan in the last 1 year or so.
I know.
It's just one of those things where you really need little moments of joy. You have to just like celebrate them over the top. Like I want to be the kind of person who's like, oh, we have 2 clean sheets, we're winning the league. Like it's not going to happen, obviously. And
you don't have to like explain it to me because I literally watched this game and I think the first thing I texted you was, this is like the best Spurs performance I've seen in a very, very long time.
Yeah, seriously. Exactly. Anyway.
Like,
It's just nice to see somebody other than Beth England score. Like, anyway.
All right. Okay. So on that very, very happy note, we are wrapping up this episode of All About the W. Let us know in the comments about what you think about Sam Kerr's 100th goal and what you think about Spurs' 2 clean sheets. Big up to Lisa Kopp, I guess. But anyway, just a reminder to all of you out there to subscribe to All About the W, hit that like button, and do comment. Tell us your thoughts on what you thought about Game Week 2. We will be back with you for the next one. Bye bye.